switch to my tap tap, right? So we can get onto the feature, right? So be on some other shit, yeah. Look.
Hey, look, I'm like Ron Burgundy in this bitch, recording live with some shit. Alright, so let's see who the fuck Elias. No. Peter Elias. No, some bullshit, no. Oh, Elias. So this is. Alright, so boom. Peter Elias was a pioneer in the field of information theory. Right? I think that's what he looked like. Maybe. Elias Delta. Right? Elias Delta. That means delta, this symbol, right? Which represents DNA, and the triangle represents the UV light, right? That's hitting your light body. So, decoding the universal code, encoding the positive integers developed by Peter Elias to go against the electrons, right? Because the code is your DNA. They even have a Elias omega coding. He has gamma coding and delta coding. So the gamma is the heat and the delta is the light, right? Because both interacts with the atom to splice and dice. Because that's why they didn't need you in the lab. They just be outside and shit. But they try to keep you inside, so when you go outside off of that juice, your skin reacts differently. Most likely heat up more because of your blood being toxic. Because the only reason your blood or you get hot is because your blood toxic. Other than that, you will absorb solar energy and you'll be able to feel it at night. Other than the CMEs that's already hitting, like randomly, like say it's cool and the air is hot at the same time. That's solar flare radiation mixed with the sub-zero technology, low key. Other than that, a lot of wind chill is coming from the Arctics breaking apart and melting and shit. And like the chill from the waters. But really, that's not even it neither. Because if the sun's melting the fuck out of that shit, then it's just gonna melt. You feel me? So back to the clouds. That's the only thing that makes it cold. Uh, it's like Mr. Freeze. I made a video, like my first video on here, like Mr. Freeze and his plan on, like he had a plan to freeze the goddamn the planet so he can harness energy and be in his freeze because he was like a Zeta Gray. You Feel me? He was a Zeta grade. They even showing a cartoon of him being a Zeta grade, and he had like the little Buzz Lightyear glass around him and shit for color, like how they used to show aliens in old movies. They always had that glass cover, and the way to even kill them was to play a certain frequency, so when it goes out loud, stuff like that. So yeah, like fuck with their brain. You feel me? By music. They said music because music represents frequencies, right? Um, some shit that they know because they put it in the fucking movie. But that's how they interact with us, interrupt with us, because they know in a balance you can be as a receiver, and if you can know how to transmute the energy, you can transmute it into power, because your cells are like the most powerful things. They're like suns. For me, it's just when they're activated, they turn into, for me. And now that the sun is trying to bring us, well, the universe is trying to bring us back into a higher state of matter, which is plasma, right? The ops is trying to turn your body into a solid, like graphite and dealing with like sediments, like and limestone. For me, this is a chemical compound that happens from that. That's why they say a lot of fossil fuels that look like people are alive, because of what happened, right? So it was all alchemy in the reverse. Alright, so the universal, okay, Ilias coding, or Ilias Omega coding, is a universal code encoding the positive integers developed by Peter Ilias, like Ilias gamma coding and Ilias delta coding. It works by prefixing. It works by prefixing the positive integer with a representation of its order of magnitude and universal code, which is the alphabet. This is the 369. 3. So that's the alphabet, right? So in universal code, unlike those two other codes, however, Alias Omega recursively encodes that prefix, thus they are sometimes known as recursive alias codes. Omega coding is used in application where the largest encoded value is not known ahead of time, or to compress data in which small values are much more frequent than the large values. To encode a positive integer n, which represents nu, that's one of the energies of the backside of the sun, to the two parallels, ma or mu, was mu and nu. Delta represents 48. Anyways, append the binary representation of n to the beginning of the code. This will be at least 2 bits, the first bit of which is a 1. Let n equal the number of bits just prepended minus 1. Let n equal the number of bits minus 1. Return to step 2 to prepend the encoding of the new int, which n stands for new. Start with the variable in the decimal whole shit right there. Alright, fucked up. Who funded alias Peter alias? Who the now we getting somewhere. Now we getting somewhere. Alright, so Professor Peter alias is the most important researcher in the information theory after Claude Shannon died from Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, which low-key is COVID. It's the same shit with a different name, just one is stronger than others, right? Dealing with amino deficiencies. Salute. His 3 children, Daniel of Lincoln, Massachusetts, Paul, and Ellen, 2 sons, 1 daughter of Cambridge, Massachusetts, were with him. His wife predeceased him in 1993 after 43 years of marriage. Pete was disguised not only for his research, but also for his leadership of the electrical engineer department at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, from 1960 to 1966. So after that, that's when they started the clinical trials within people, and they were paying them to do it, right? So that being said, that goes along with the conspiracy. I just want to see who funded him, really. Crucial transition period when changes from engineering practice to engineering science. So it went from engineering practice dealing with robots and shit to dealing with biology, chemistry, and pathology. It was initially recognized as a central part of electrical engineering. Pete was a fellow of IEEE, a character fellow of the Association for Computing Machinery, ACM, which deals with Trump. Uh, I think Donald Trump is part owner of ACM, or some shit like that, right? So boom. Yeah, because they used to have these phones, like early 2000s. or ACM phones, and they were trying to sell them like it was like business phones or house phones, but you can video call, right? It was like when they first came out, we got smartphones and shit. So I feel like ACM is tied to that because computing machine. And followed the American Academy of Arts and Science. He was elected National Academy of Science in 1975 and the National Academy of Engineering in 1979. He received the Claude E. Shannon Award, the highest honor of the IEEE Informationary Society in 1977, and Hamming Award. So they were definitely using him for some shit like this. Facts. So like, then he transferred to MIT where he received SB in Management in 1944. But they keep going back and forth. He was gonna find this shit. MIT was also dealing with uh connecting to the goddamn robot in the first place. It looked like he was studying everything for that. Hopefully you're reading with this channel capacity without coding. The list of coding for nosy channels. First, we provided a concrete example of how the use of feedback can be used to greatly simplify transmission at capacity. Second illustrated, this was an era where the FIL or field was small and colorable, and people were saying on the street and getting credit cards for his work. His credit for his work. Rather, he was interested in helping others researchers and being part of the research community. He is a set example for graduate students of the time. Sound like Nikola Tesla. He was 37 at the time, remarkable tenure. He was chosen partly because of his widely recognized tact, goodwill, and integrity, and partly because he was central to the growth area of coming information age. Pete's research was high geared at the time and ideally situated to solve important fundamental research problems. Pete was an academic intellect at heart, but he was also a generalist and a humanist who enjoyed interacting with others and challenge of helping an outstanding group of engineering working on a wide variety. Pete so this is the Yakub disease for me. Because your cells, nervous system breakdown, you lose memory, and So prion protein, I feel like is what they use to spike the protein, correct? Are misfolded proteins that have the ability to transmit their misfolded shape into normal variants of the same protein. Meaning, what holds your hold on. Yeah, what holds your red blood cells in the first place? I mean, what holds the proteins or your amino acids, uh, strands of your DNA? What transfer shit like that? Your hemoglobin, right? Which deals with your the immune system, your nervous system, period, right? So look, prions are misfolded proteins that have the ability to transmit their misfolded shape into normal variants of the same protein. That's like the xenobot, right? Which is the device, and then the tetraoxidant and the ezetibate is the drug, is a bioweapon, right? Which fucks with your covalent bonds, which are your hydrogen and carbon links, and also probably more like your nitrogen links and all that shit. The natural element links that's within you that you most likely probably don't know too much about. That's why we have to read more. So look, to characterize several fatal and transmissible neurodegenerative diseases in humans and many other animals. The thing is, it comes from animals. That's what makes it it makes it a it makes it a what's the word they be using? It makes it an uncontrollable mutation. So that means under the sun it's going to keep mutating and mutating. The science behind it is they know that the sun or the light is getting brighter, which means the heat is getting stronger because of the CMEs that's hitting the planet. There's a whole lot of trinities going on with the sun, just like your cells are. So really, your cells supposed to be getting aligned, just like the stars are. So those are like reflections of you, pretty much like of your cells. It's all connected. So like that's why they need the xenobot with the animal cell to replicate your cells the same way. Like that's all it does is replicate itself like your red blood cells and your white blood cells. But it's synthetic, it's not you. So it's like when the sodium channels are blocked, which is your blood, plasma, and melanin, dealing with your blood, plasma, and skin, um, it clogs it up. So when you clog shit up, it stops the flow. It stops the current. A current is a flow of electricity. Like your cells are electricity. It's been receiving a higher charge. The charge is supposed to be receiving because the magnetic field has been depleted. So that being said, they have to block the clouds up. I mean, block the sun with the clouds, and then that generates cold, the sub-zero technology. Just like how you would cook up ice in the kitchen, they just do it at a different state of matter. But when you need heat to even make ice or crystals or like uh, cold, period, because the chemical compounds make different reactions. So look, so when they put it in a higher state of matter, they need jets to do it because jets can put it in the gas state high enough so it interacts with the plasma and the light because all the elements, everything natural interacts with the light. So they can be mixing uh, elements in the air, but the elements isn't alkaline elements, right? So by itself, it was bringing back the alkaline elements, but now they're interfering, right? There's already water in the air, was supposed to be. Their chemical equations dry out the air and like oxidize the hydrogen and the carbon, which makes too much. It's an interference. It's really an interference of a cycle because you're the 369, and the 369 is the cycle of the sun. The four phase is 3693, representing the 12, right? So look, the prions effective agents is why the respiratory system got interfered with and everything else, because when it travels, it's moving like antibodies, but it's really it's anti-you, so it's not of you. So it's really the cholesterol that's in it makes you feel normal, right? It puts you more like in a sedated mindset, but you're still there. But like that's what the extra oxygen and the zeta base for. It leaves you sedated, right? Like in a sleep slumber, right? So look, they use different animals. All these different animals produce a different STD or disease period. But the STDs always match up with the disease. The disease most likely be what it is, and then that be tied to a STD because it's all tied to the wrong shit being in your mucus and replicating itself over and over again because it's not allowing your antibodies to get to you. That's why you have to alkaline your body to remove the mucus. So your real antibodies can actually fight back. Because if anything, you get immune to shit because your antibodies are fighting back. It's dealing with your immune system. You have immunity on this planet until invaders come. They don't have immunity on this shit. Their time's running up. So this is why they've been trying to fight back. Really, they're fighting the sun with frequencies because the cycle is supposed to come down and go back up, right? It's supposed to give off the same energy going back up. That's why when you give energy to nature, it actually helps the frequency rise back up. From you're in crown, controlling the nervous system outside of you and inside of you. And all you have to do is look at nature for the reaction. So look, but this shit ties down to all this shit, right? All this shit sounds like difficult walking, changes in gait, rapidly developing dementia, hallucination, muscle stiffness, confusion, fatigue, difficult speaking. See, BSE or mad cow disease in cattle and scrapie sheep. Prions cause diseases in variety of animals, including bovine. This is why you're not supposed to be fucking eating animals, especially at this time. Most of the animals is cloned anyway. And then like cows, those are just clones of the real cows. Shit low key probably ties back down to the bicep. Just like pit bulls ties back down to the three dog monsters. Or like the three dog beasts, like from Hercules. spike proteins that was it. This is the experiment. That's why they need the 5G. Then later on in life, you're gonna see hella blue lights, blue UV lights, because it's gonna be on some like vampire slash zombie type shit. Feel me? Shit gonna get wicked. I'm peeping while they doing that shit though. Like, cause that shit ties back to the vampire shit. Feel me? In the two different bloods, or two different families. She won't scroll down. Cellular prion protein is GPI anchored protein most abundantly found in the outer membrane of the neurons. The valence electrons. Due to structural characteristics, a flexible tail and structured core interacts with widely range of partners. This shit won't show, bro. See, it's where they trying to cover it up. That deals with hemoglobin, most likely. Like when you see amino and globin, all that is dealing with your immune system and your hemoglobin. Alright, in biochemistry, globular proteins are spiroproteins, are spherical or spiritual proteins and are one of the common protein types. The other being fibrous, disorder, and membrane proteins, which are like the anything that's not amino acids. Globular proteins are somewhat water soluble, forming colloids in water, unlike fibrous or membrane proteins. Globular proteins play many biological roles, including acting as enzymes, aminos, hormones, immunoglobulin, your hemoglobin dealing with your immune system, and transport molecules, which the hemoglobin transport molecules to the respiratory system. That's why they wanted to spike the hemoglobin inside of the red blood cell. Because then when you spike that, it's against the red blood cell and it starts to kill it off. And once all it takes is one T cell from that, just like a sperm, to attach to that cell, and then it reproduces itself. And then the AI attached to it picks up on the decoding by frequencies, because your cells deal with straight frequencies in your nervous system. So it's like part of hijacking your body, like they did with animals, to have surveillance over other countries and shit to see what they were doing. Uh, they always had satellites to look at you, but now knowing their 5G is actually being used by like water meters and all types of shit. Reason why the lakes are drying up, and plus the sun UV is drying up all the man-made lakes, because all all the lakes was just covering up something. Just like a lot of sewage systems are covering up something. They use the water. So that being said, every lake that's dried up and is popular Like I'm talking about big lakes and rivers and shit. It's going to have all types of gold and shit there, most likely. That's what delta means too when it comes to land masses. It brings in large sediments, minerals, and different creatures, uh, and different treasures dealing with that current. That's why you were seeing mermaids in Tennessee due to the flood that came through the landmass, right? So boom. The hemoglobin is a globular protein found in red blood cells. See, it is made of four polypeptide chains, each containing a heme group that binds and transport oxygen to the bloodstream. But it's supposed to be transporting hydrogen and carbon, and you're supposed to be receiving oxygen, I believe, from nature, not from some fake ass clouds, right? Or sub-zero technology, period. See, because the AB bonds, even that B is for better than alpha. The AB bonds are your tetracovalent bonds, right? So that being said, this is what bro was researching. And what are they trying to do at this moment of time? Find the God gene or the particle or how it interacts with heat and light, right? They're trying to replay what happened already, but they already know what's going to happen. They're just trying to use it for present day studies, right? Because it's always worked for a population. So being a negative variant, a neutral variant, or a positive variant, just like a trinity would be electron, neutron, proton, right? They're trying to interrupt with it, period. But the thing is, the people that was doing the research, they were getting used by the government. Um, I had many researchers on this, and they funded them a lot through nonprofit organization that was tied to the hospital, the bank, and these families. Um, Red Cross, uh, Boy Scout peoples, everything. Even a lot of the tribes, because it's always been about world order. And they took over a lot of shit already, but they let the family play along with the cycle because one family is going to need land, and another part's going to need land at a certain time, and this part's going to need land at a certain time, till they don't have shit. But now their shit being destroyed, and since they keep playing with a lot of this sub-zero shit, their whole shit's about to be frozen. Right? They're the ones playing with it. It's either that or they're gonna burn up. Really, they're just gonna burn up. So look, what was I about to put? Because the Jacobs disease, Jacob stands for Yakub. I don't know who the fuck Crutchfield is. Who the fuck is Crutchfield? Remember, this shit comes from an abnormal isoform Abnormal being something that's not normal to your body. Isoform of cellular glycoproteins known as prion proteins. A small petrel of southern seas having a wide bill fringe with a comb-like plates for feeding on planktonic crustaceans. What sounds like a pufferfish. Now says the term of prions is a pathogenic, which deals with pathology and genetics, is an agent that are transmissible and are able to induce abnormal folding of a particular normal cellular proteins called prion protein, and they are found most abundantly in the brain. And the most what's found most abundantly in the brain ties to your neuromelanin, dealing with ergogene or antimatter or carbon, because it's just the same thing in a different state of matter. Like neuromelanin is carbon and antimatter in the liquid stage. Feel me? On its ether. But then when it goes into a higher state, it goes into gas or plasma. Now you're dealing with antimatter and dealing with your atoms and shit, and the atoms in the air. Because the atoms in the air is like the cells in your body. So when you're in the crown and tapped into that, now you're controlling the whole nervous system because it's blood of the air, blood of the body. So like, see, because it's all dealing with memory. They're trying to decode your memory to find out what the fuck for some damn research and for some money. So while they're trying to do that, the prion disease occurs when the normal prion protein found on the surface of many cells become abnormal and clumped in the brain, causing brain damage. This abnormal accumulation of protein in the brain can cause memory impairment, personality changes, and difficulty with movement, because that's all dealing with your nervous system. Uh, when they spike the proteins, the shit is actually called lysis, which is actually pathological blood destruction. And pathological blood destruction is destruction of your red blood cells, right? Because they're trying to disconnect you. There's two parallels to you, you in the physical and you in the cosmos. It makes more sense when you know yourself. Because now you know what you do when you lay your body down. And when you realize time ain't real, them 8 hours really be like a whole goddamn, them 8, 9 hours be a whole year. Where you can experience a whole year within that 8 hours of sleep. When you realize time isn't real, it's just a loop. Like, we've been in the same days, dealing with different loops. So, that shit's getting interfered with the same day. It makes loops. But their interference is about to be up with, hopefully. But it comes to the people to make the change, realize what they're doing, and come as a collective without fear all over the world. Because it's known in cattle as mad cow disease. Like, This is what happened in the 1770s in France and Italy. All this shit came from their ass. The Spaniards. The bird flu, which is pretty much the flu. Uh, but then that's always attached to a parasite. But that's why you gotta watch who people get and attached to, because you can get sick in the same way by catching an STD. But that comes with cleaning out your lymphatic system and cleaning out them cells and rejuvenating your cells with what's needed. But the thing is, you're supposed to be doing that now and absorbing all the energy. So when you have nothing, you're fine. You're just moving like the sun, absorbing energy from all around you to stay alive. Um, this isn't a conspiracy, but it shows that their conspiracy proves them of literally playing with people, abusing people. Not saying make it cool, but you can't do the same thing and don't expect other people to do so. And since y'all study a lot of pathology and shit and then counteract with that to go against it, then you know what the fuck you're doing. Which makes it bad for you because it's on you now. Y'all try to fill some shoes that's not yours. And now my people waking up and seeing the truth for the truth. There's nothing you can do now. You can't block the information. The information is within us. We have DNA of the universe. It never dies. Especially when you are the harmonic frequencies. Pictures, memories, hearing. It triggers something in the soul. That's what they're trying to fuck with. Alright. Okay, these can include serious decline in memory because your memory are your cells, your atoms, and your cells are atoms. These can include decline in memory, thinking, and behavior. Brain abnormalities can be seen through magnetic resonance imaging. Mad cow disease is fatal that slowly destroys the brain and the spinal cord, central nervous system in cattle, because it starts off in the spine, but it's a cycle in your body that moves around. But say if it gets there and it's stuck on one side, like your right side, right? It gets stuck on one side. Now it's like steady right there because your blood flow and your plasma is not able to move it because you got too much fat in it. In which, in other words, high sodium or high cholesterol because you're eating a lot of sodium. But really, it's the drugs. So, like, I mean, it's also what you eat too because it clogs up your sodium channels, which is your blood, your skin, and your plasma, all dealing with light and heat because of your cells. So if your shit getting blocked out, your natural cells getting blocked out and killed off, and then these new ones that's replicating to try to fit in like yours, when they're stuck there under the light, it causes abnormal growth, which makes reproduction of cells of cancer and all different types of shit. It all be the same thing. It's just at a different chakra. We're dealing with a different frequency of growth. That's why it's imperative for you to be fasting and not eating these fake ass proteins and preservatives and shit. They're trying to preserve your body at the end of the day, claim a check off it and further through research. Feel me? This shit has a magnetic resonance inside of it because of the AI and the metals that's being used. Because it's different states of matter. If you put the shit in the liquid, then they most likely have to keep it cold to even stay in the liquid form because of what it would do when it's in the heat form, right? So cells generate heat, right? When they're moving around. When it's blocked up and not moving around, it don't really generate. It kind of generate heat because your body's trying to fight back from it. That's why I say your cells. It's like electricity. But when this shit interferes, it's replicating shit and attacking your chakras. Starting off at the spleen, that's your solar plexus, which connects you to above and to solar energy. Because that's what your soul is. Solar. Solar power. You're pretty much a sun or a star in a humanoid body. That's why nature and the universe is a reflection of you. Because your cells replicate the stars as like suns, the chromosomes, your genes. You are the God particle within. So like that's why they're trying to interfere with that. That's why you have to keep your cycle going in the physical, which is like blood flow and consuming the right things for cellular growth. So then when you smoke weed, it's not killing cells or brain cells or memory. It's actually enhancing it. Because weed works like the sun too. So like, because it's a star planet. And really, everything on this planet is also a star planet. Because this is a star planet, nigga. It's Kai, meaning energy, right? If we was on a different planet, this planet that we're on right now would look like a goddamn star. So that being said, we come from all of that, but at the end of the day, planets are portals. Uh, it has a habitat or environment, and and it's still a star at the same time. All these stars that you look at, either fake ass satellites or planets. That's why they all have a magnetic field. It's just different elemental, like planets and shit. So like, remember, this is uh investigational, compassionate inquiry, dealing with psychotherapeutic approach, dealing with the shit they call drugs. So they make you pay for your death, pretty much. Under the sun. slow, but I think